this session, we will discuss about the tools of inferential statistics, like t-test, ANOVA, regression. These are the commonly using tools. There is a lot of tools are there. So in t-test also there is varieties also there. Varieties of t-test also there. ANOVAs are also there. But we will discuss about the basic ones, because that will give an idea. After that, you can do any type of t-test using this idea. Okay, we will discuss about the tools of inferential statistics. First, before going to the tools of inferential statistics, we have to discuss about the hypothesis. And,
Sama.
you have to discuss about the some other concept like hypothesis, p-value, because of better understanding this. We have to discuss earlier. So first is hypothesis. Why do we need the hypothesis? That is the first thing. To ensure us the test experimental hypothesis, enable us to test the experimental hypothesis. First, we have two hypotheses. First is H0, that is null hypothesis, and H1, that is alternative hypothesis or experimental hypothesis. These are the two hypotheses normally involved in the test statistics. So, for example, the null hypothesis, for example, is that no difference in the efficiency of a system under two different conditions. So, in the test statistics, what we are doing, trying to compare two experimental conditions, or two results from the experiment conditions, or one result, the global result with the sample results. Like that, we have to compare. So we have a null hypothesis. That null hypothesis is no difference in the efficiency of a system under two different experimental conditions. Suppose we tested one machine under two different experimental conditions, and we got some data from under two experimental conditions, and we have to test whether there is any difference. That is our test. So first, in null hypothesis, we assume that there is no difference in efficiency of a system under two experimental conditions. So that is the first thing. The second, this experimental hypothesis or alternative hypothesis. In the alternative or experimental hypothesis, we assume the reverse thing. First, we assume that there is no difference in efficiency. Here we assume there is a difference in the efficiency of a system under two different experimentations. Okay, these are basically the examples of hypothesis. That is H0, that is null hypothesis, and H1 is the experimental hypothesis. That hypothesis we want to test. Okay, what is inference? Inference is how do we know whether the observed effect in our sample is genuine. So we collected some sample from the population, or for example, we selected some machine from the entire group of machine and tested it in a particular testing condition, or two different testing conditions, and gathered data from two different testing conditions. And we want to know whether there is any significant difference in the performance of that machine under two different experimental conditions. That is the ultimate experimental hypothesis. So we want to know that. So what we will do, we will do, instead, actually we want to, physically we will get a value. So from the observed values of two experimental conditions, we can calculate mean, standard deviation, some other descriptive statistics, so that we can physically give some difference. Suppose first experimental condition, that the mean was we got the mean as 30, and the second experimental condition, the mean we got is 31. So physically there is it's showing a difference. There's a 30 and 31. This is numerically there is a difference. But if the difference is actually valid in comparison with the actual population, so for that we use p-value to indicate our level of certainty. We are generating a level of certainty that our results represent a genuine effect present in the whole population. So what in the inference study, what we are doing, we are generating a p-value which indicates our level, that indicates the level of certainty that our results represents a genuine effect present in the whole population. So what we will do with this p-value, we are inferring that the effect in the sample we observed is genuinely how much percentage certainty is there, is actually reflecting in the entire population. That is the thing. Next concept is p-value. P-value is the probability of observed result was obtained by chance. So I already discussed about the two experimental conditions. We got two sample means or sample whatever maybe their performance parameters. On the basis, physically they are showing some difference. We want to prove it. The first experimental condition is entirely different from second experimental condition. So we want to prove that the two experimental condition, the results from the two experimental conditions are different. So using this p-value, actually the p-value indicates the probability of the observed results was obtained by chance. So the observed difference, that is 30 and 31, that is a difference of 1, is came not due to by chance. So sometimes we are saying, casually we are saying that occurred due to chance, that's due to a chance. So sometimes in the deficiency of sample or experimental conditions, the actual difference may show in the results, but we have to test whether the result, the showed difference in the results difference is actually not due to by chance. Okay, that so when the null hypothesis is true. Okay, and alpha level is, we have to set the alpha level. Under normal conditions, we have to set the alpha level is 0.01. That indicates that we are testing that condition, that 95% level, 95% of certain that our experimental effect is genuine. So if the p-value, p less than alpha level, then we reject the null hypothesis and accept the experimental hypothesis. What was our null hypothesis? There is no difference. Actually, we are assigning null hypothesis just opposite to the experimental hypothesis. We want to check that there any genuine difference between the two experimental conditions. So what we will do, what we will keep in the null hypothesis, there is no genuine difference in the null between the two experimental conditions. So if our p-value less than the alpha value is 0.05. If p-value is less than alpha value, then we will we reject the null hypothesis and accept the experimental hypothesis. So our experimental hypothesis, there is a difference. Okay, that indicates that we are 95% certain that our experimental effect is genuine. So we can say that, confidently say that our 95% certain that our experimental effect, the reflected observed effect in the experiment is genuine. Okay, then the p-value greater than alpha value, then we reject the experimental hypothesis and accept the null hypothesis. Okay, we actually, the p-value we got is greater than 0.05. Then what we will say, we will accept the we will reject the experimental hypothesis and accept null. What was the null hypothesis? There is no difference. So we will say, we can say that we are sure that the observed difference is due to chance. Okay, here we can, the null hypothesis there, h naught mu is equal to mu naught. This is the null hypothesis, and we can, against this null, we can assign different alternative hypothesis or experimental hypothesis. We can check an alternative hypothesis against this null hypothesis, mu less than mu 0. That some population mean is equal to sample mean. Mu indicates that's population mean, and mu0 indicates sample mean. Okay, in this case, what we will do? We have a population, and we have a population. Mean is known also. For example, we want to check the voltage of a particular inverter or something instrument. In that case, we know the universal voltage, mean voltage is 230 volt. So in that case, what we will do? The 230 volt is, we know that the universal mean is, average voltage is 230 volt, and we want to check the output from the inverter or UPS, whatever maybe. Though we want to compare the output, average output from that particular machine gives 230 volt or not. So in that cases, we are comparing the sample mean with the population mean. So population mean mu and mu naught is sample mean. Okay. So first we can assign that those two are equal. Okay. So alternative hypothesis may vary. So accordingly, mu less than mu0, mu greater than mu0, and mu not equal to mu0. Agar less than or greater than case, we are using single-tailed distributions. Actually, these are theoretical distributions derived on the basis of theory. So we are matching. Actually, these are pure probabilities. We are checking. We are calculating a value for t test t values there, z test z values there, and ANOVA f values there, and f test f values there. So all these cases we are calculating the t statistics, f statistics, whatever may be, on the basis of sample parameters like mean, standard deviation, like that sample parameters, and we are calculating that statistics and compare with the theoretical population that already derived, and the tables are available in backside of the all statistics books. So the first two cases we are using single tailed distributions, and the second case mu not equal to mu0 means that case we are using two-tailed distributions. So actually this is based on the rejection region. Look, mu less than mu0, that is left tail, actually left tail alpha portion we are rejecting. All other portion, if our t statistics or whatever maybe statistics coming in the other region, falling in the other region, we will accept that. And this is coming under alpha region, we will reject that. That's the rejection region. Same thing is applicable to the three cases. Actually, we discussed about hypothesis and p value. These are the fundamental things, knowledge required for the t test, ANOVA, and other tests. So once we discuss about these things, we will go to t test directly. What is the need of t test? First of thing, to compare two means. Suppose I already said that we want to compare two type of engines. Suppose, for example, average mileage of two cars or two engines, two series of engines. So we want to compare the average mileage. In that case, we can select some car from the first series of engine, select some car from the second series of engine, keeping some standard criteria, control variables are also there. So after that, we will get to the average mileage for each series. First series of engine and second series of engine. We can on the average and standard deviation variance, we can calculate on the basis of sample. After that, on the basis of the statistic calculated, we can compare. We can test that whether the results observed, the mean calculated mean observed from these two showed some difference. If they showed some difference, the difference is actually valid, or due to the difference is showing due to chance. This we are testing the difference between, actually how we are doing the t test. That is the second thing. The difference between the mean divided by pooled standard error of the mean. How can we calculate t test statistics? That is difference between means divided by the pooled standard error of the mean. So In the next slide, we will discuss about the calculation. T value is equal to difference between group mean divided by variability of the group. So in the top, the two peaks, two data are there, two distribution of data are there. First, the difference between group mean. That is the first thing. And second thing, variability of the group. Variability, that means how much spread the data. So the both the group, how much spread the data, we have to calculate. So the equation is x1 bar, that is the mean of the first group, x2 bar, that is the mean of the second group, divided by SC, standard error of the variability of the group. That formula is standard error of x1 bar minus x2 bar. Okay, this will get, if calculate this, you will get the T value. Standard error of x1 bar minus x2 bar, again the formula is there, that is square root of s1 square divided by n1, s2 square divided by n2. S1 square we already discussed that s1 square is the variance of the first group and s2 square is the variance of the second group. So n1 is the number of observation in the first group and n2 is the number of observation in the second group. So accordingly, we can calculate T value. After that, we have to check the T value from the table value, otherwise theoretical population, theoretical probability. That for that we require the degrees of freedom. Degrees of freedom is the number of unconstrained data points. That means simply saying that a number of data points in the first group, that is n1. The degrees of freedom, we can calculate the number of data points minus 1 will give the degrees of freedom. Okay, can use T value and degree, find the, actually next our step is to find the P value from the table. There is T table is there, T distribution table. From the T distribution, we are actually statisticians derived T tables, and from that, with the help of T value and degrees of freedom, we can find the associated P value. Then compare the alpha level. That is the thing involving. So here I demonstrated a T test result. So here is the T test result is there. The T test, here I did a 2 sample assuming unequal variances. Okay, we did two experimentation under 2 conditions, and we collected data and calculated mean and standard deviation, and for first group and for second group also we calculated. Okay, and observations is 30-30 and hypothesis mean difference is 0. So mean difference is 0 and degrees of freedom here is 45, and T statistics is minus 27.53, and P value 1 tail, T critical, T 2 tail, and T value. This is the entire result. We have to get from take decision from using this value. So our null hypothesis is H naught is, on the right side we can see that H naught is mu1 is equal to mu2. Sample 1 minus sample 2 is equal to 0. That means we assume that our the two means, the means of first sample and second sample are equal. We assumed in such a way that, and H1 mu1 minus mu2 not equal to 0. So there is the alternative or experimental hypothesis. What is our alternative or experimental hypothesis? There is a difference in mean of first experiment and mean value of the second experiment. So we can, from this we can conclude that we do a 2-tail test inequality. We selected inequality of variance here. So that is we already discussed in the previous slide that there is inequality is there. Then what we will do? We will do a 2-tail test. Okay. If T test statistics less than critical value, of two-tailed or theta is greater than critical value of two-tailed, we reject the null hypothesis. Okay, this is the condition. Thus, we can, in the case 20 is our critical value, 20 is actually our t value we got is minus 27. From the results, we can see that our t value, the calculated t value is minus 27.53, and our two-tail critical value is 2.01. 2.01. So if the calculated t critical value is minus 2.01, that 2.0 means the range is minus 2.01 to this is a two-tail test. The two-tail test minus 0.21 and plus 2.01. So in between is our the between portion is our acceptance region. So actually, therefore, we reject the null hypothesis. So what happened? That is our t statistics minus 27.53. That is less than minus 2.01, the lower boundary of the acceptance region. That's why we can say that we reject the null hypothesis. The observed difference between sample mean. The observed difference between sample mean is 3.38 and 3.72. These are the two values we observed. Is conveying enough to say that the results between GA and PSO differ significantly. That means what we can conclude that the results results obtained using GA and PSO are different. They have genuine difference. Okay, though their difference is only point something difference, but they are genuine in nature. We can 95% confident certainly says that the observed difference is genuine. Okay, so we accept the alternative hypothesis in this case. If in this case we can say that our rejection region is less than minus 2.01 and greater than 2.01. So in between, suppose our t value may come in between these two, we have to accept the null hypothesis. Then we will say that there is no difference. Next, this is the one type of t-test is there, and different types of t-tests are there. Okay, this is the types of t-tests are as given below. Two sample t-tests and one sample t-tests are the main classification. Within two sample t-tests, related t-tests or independent t-tests is there. Two sample related, that means same people in both conditions. So actually we can say that, for example, in a particular machine were used under two different conditions. So that we can in such cases we can use related two sample t-tests and two independent samples, so that we are conducting the experiment simultaneously and taking the value of getting the value data, and in such cases we can use independent two sample t-test. So first case, the same process is there but in different time periods. That means same machine we are using in different conditions at different time periods. In that case we can use related two sample t-tests we can use, and the same time different machines are using under different process experimental conditions. So in that cases we can use two sample t-tests, independent t-tests. And one more t-test is there, that is one sample t-test. Compare the mean with one sample to a given value of population mean. So in that case we record a global standard. So for example, I already said that in the case of electricity, 230 volt is the normal criteria. like that with some means, population mean is there, then we can compare that population mean with the sample mean. For that, one sample t-test we can use. Otherwise, we have to assume some population mean. And t-test is like that. So actually, this how to do t-test in Excel, and Excel is we can demonstrate lastly. Okay, that is better actually. In between that, you will take. Okay, next is ANOVA. ANOVA is the short form of analysis of variance. Actually, in ANOVA, actually the use of ANOVA is to check whether more than two groups are unique or not. This is the main thing. So, for example, a chemical engineer wants to compare the hardness of four blends of paints. So, chemical engineer or a paint company, they wants to compare the hardness of four blends of paints. So, in that case, what we will do? We'll take samples from the four blends of paints, and we will calculate ANOVA, analysis of variance, and that will say if the hardness, there is any difference in hardness between the four blends of paints. So here the null hypothesis is equal to H naught is equal to no difference between groups. That is the same null hypothesis we adopted in t-test also. Normally in all the tests we are using opposite things as null hypothesis. There is no difference between the groups. And the experimental hypothesis, difference between the group. There is a difference between the groups. So after that, next process is to calculate ANOVA is to calculate F value. F is the between group variance divided by within group variance. What we will do in the ANOVA, we are within group, we are calculating the variability within group and between group. After that, we will take a rate of between group and within group, and we will get F value. For F to be significant, between groups variance should be considerably larger than the within group variance. So F to be significant, for F to be significant, the between group variances. Between group means group 1, group 2, group 3, or group 4. 4 groups are there. That variance should be considerably larger than within group, the same group, the variability within the same group. So that is a condition. What can be calculated from significant ANOVA? There is a significant difference between the group. Okay, after doing ANOVA, what we can conclude? So we can conclude that if there is any significant difference between the group, so there is two or more groups are there. So we can say that after doing ANOVA, we can say that there is any significant difference between the group. For example, the same example of hardness of four blends of paint, we can gather data and do the analysis and get the results. If it's significant, we can say that yes, there is a significant difference difference in hardness between the four blends of paints. That we can conclude that. But it will not say that where is the actual difference. It will not say in which group the hardness is higher or lower. For that, we have to do further analysis. Otherwise, we can go for this one, t-test. Go for t-test for pairs. Four groups are there. We have to 3 or 4 t-tests we can do, and we can analyze that. Finding exactly where the difference lies required further statistical analysis. This is the ANOVA results. The ANOVA result is here. Actually, there is a single factor ANOVA I employed here, and there is 3 groups are there. Column 1, column 2, column 3 is there, and summary part. The summary parts gives the summary of variables. Variables is there, and column 1, column 2, and column 3. Column 1 indicates the first variable, and count of the variable is 30 number of observations are there, and sum is this much 101.49, and average is 3.38, and variance is 0.0033. Like that, column 2, column 3, the summary is given. Then we can see that the average of first is 3.38, second is 3.715, and third is 4.7. So physically there is difference is there. We want to check the physical difference is actually reflecting or not, or is a correct aspect of statistical theory. So next the below the column is ANOVA result, the source of variation. We already said that between group variation is there, and within group variation is there. So between group variation we calculated SS is the between group variation, and within group variation is also calculated. So degrees of freedom is also calculated, because here degrees of freedom between group, here there is 3 groups, 3 minus 2 2 is the degrees of freedom, and within group, so there is 30 minus 1, and again 30 minus 1, and again 30 minus 1, totally 87 minus 1. Sorry, 87 is there. 87 is there, and mean sum of square is there, and F value. What we will do? F value will simply divide between group divided by within group, will give the F value. F value we got, we can with the help of F value and degrees of freedom, we can calculate the P value from statistical F table. So that you can manually calculate also. So but in software is available here. So all the softwares gives all these parameters. So we need not to go to the statistical table or any other things. So P value they calculated and directly present here. So and F critical value is also there. Okay, P value is 0.00. So what was our alpha level? 0.05. 0.05 was our alpha level. So the P value is less than alpha level. That indicates we will reject or accept. We will reject or accept the null hypothesis. We will reject the null hypothesis. So we can say that there is significant difference between the 3 groups. F critical value is also there. That is also for table value. We have to collect it from table, that purpose only. But directly we are getting P value. No need for go for that. And next is different types of ANOVAs. Right now we did single factor ANOVA, and same way we can do different multiple factor ANOVAs are also there. So different types of ANOVA, one way ANOVA, one factor within more than 2 groups. So we have more than 3 groups or 4 groups, and with one factor. Okay, and such cases we can do one way ANOVA. So for example, fuel, we are putting a particular fuel in an engine and check the efficiency. So we are checking in 3 different engines. Three different engines are there, and checking the efficiency of same fuel in 3 different engines. We will get data, fuel efficiency data in particular interval, and we can do ANOVA and check whether the fuel efficiency, the efficiency of particular fuel is genuinely differ or not, like that. So factorial ANOVA means we have one factor is there, our one fuel is there. We can add one more thing, one more factor we can add, and we can check whether there is any significant difference between the group and within the factor also. So that type of analysis, factorial ANOVA. And mixed design ANOVAs, that is a complicated scenario, multiple factors, multiple groups. this mixture factor ANOVA. That is the complicated procedure. So that also doing for complicated experimental situations. And next is t-test versus ANOVA. Now t-test versus ANOVA, that means t-test assess that the two groups means differ significantly. Actually, what t-test doing? T-test doing the finding the any significant difference between group 1 and group 2 only. Okay, can compare two samples or more samples given. But ANOVA, what ANOVA does? ANOVA can compare two or more groups. We can compare 3 groups, 4 groups, 5 groups, like that. But T is capability only for 2 groups only. But ANOVA can T can say that is the difference is between that 2 groups. But ANOVA only says there is a difference. It will not say where the difference, in which difference lies between which group. Sometimes 3 groups are there. First group and second group are similar, and the third group is different. Then that condition is also, it says there is a difference, but 2 groups are similar also. In that case, we can do it with some further analysis there, or simply we can do t-test also for between 2 groups. We can analyze that. ANOVA compares more than 2 groups, more complicated scenario. They use variance instead of means. Actually, in t-test, we are using sample mean for testing and in ANOVA we are using variance, how scattered the sample data. That criteria we are using. Actually, this is about mean and t-test and ANOVA, and now we'll going to proceed to correlation and regression. These are the actually ANOVA and t-test are normally using to test whether any difference between between 2 samples, or if there any significant difference between population or the sample. In such criteria situations, we are using this one, t-test and ANOVA, and more tests are there, inferential tests are there. F-test or Z-test is there. A lot of tests are available there. So this actually all the tests, the procedure is same. We have to calculate the test statistics. In Z-test we are calculating Z value, and ANOVA we are calculating F value. T statistics we are T value, like that. Each and every test there is a test statistics we have to calculate on the basis of the formula is there. We have to calculate the the particular test statistics, and we have to get the probability value corresponding to that statistical table. If Z-test, we have to go to normal distribution table, and t-test we have to look into the t table, and F we have to look into the F value. Like that, we have to get the p value and compare. On the basis of the p value, we can take necessary decision. Now we will go to correlation. So correlation is something different from t-test and ANOVA, because correlation, the name word itself says that there is that is for checking the relationship between 2 variables. So correlation is doing for strength and direction of relationship between 2 variables. This correlation test is used to check the strength and direction of the relationship between variables. Okay, that is correlation analysis. So for a better understanding, we will discuss about the scatter diagram. Here the below slide below, the 3 graphs figures are there. So there is the round dots are showing that the data points. So we can plot the data, X and Y plot is there. Accordingly, we can plot that. the plotted data is there. So the red line is the red line shows the linear relationship between x and y variable. So the first figure we can see that there is a positive correlation. What is positive correlation? Positive correlation that indicates if x value increases, y also increases. So for example, in social science there is an example is there. For income increases, expenditure also will increase. That is the thing. So fuel efficiency and that engine performance, that is also positively correlated. So like that, negatively correlated. One variable increases, the other decreases. So that is called negative correlation. And third one is no correlation. So sometimes one value increases, that time other value decreases. On the other hand, y value decreases and x value increases. There is no consistent pattern in the data between the two variables. So such relationships we are termed as no correlation. Okay, first is positive correlation, and second negative correlation, and no correlation. So next, in order to find the correlation, first we have to understand about covariance. Covariance, a statistic represents the degree of relationship between variables vary together. Okay, the statistic represent, like covariance represents the degree of relationship between variable vary together. So if there is some relationship between the variable, between two variables, then covariance represents the degree of relationship. That represents the degree of relationship. The covariance can be calculated using this formula, that is represented by cov xy, because covariance between x and y is equal to sigma xi minus x bar and yi minus y bar. This is the formula. That means we have to deduct or subtract the average from each observation, average of x from each observation under x, and the same way we have to minus y bar from each observations of y, and multiply it and sum it, then divided by total number of observation. That will give the covariance. So coefficient of variance, the formula is equal to S square, that is variance is equal to S square is equal to sigma xi minus x bar. The above there is xi minus x bar only. Here xi minus x bar the whole square divided by, that is the variance formula. So here we calculated using covariance. First we have to calculate covariance of x and y, and variance of x and variance of y separately. Then we with the help of these three items we can calculate correlation between x and y. So what covariance, what will it gives? So the representing the relationship between instance, degree of relationship between the two groups, two variables. So then now we will go to correlation. Correlation, commonly used correlation by the statistics is Pearson's correlation coefficient, that is notation is R. The equation is equal to R of xy. R of xy means correlation coefficient of x and y is equal to cov xy. Cov xy already defined in the previous slide, divided by variance of x and variance standard deviation of x and standard deviation of y. So these things already we discussed in the previous slide, and that will give the correlation, Pearson correlation coefficient of coefficient between variable x and y. So actually the R of xy, after calculating the correlation, we will get the value between -1 and +1. Okay, the value between -1 and +1. -1 indicates that maximum negative correlation. That indicates that one variable increases, the other variable decreases. That is the thing, that -1 correlation increases, shows that maximum negative correlation, and +1 automatically maximum positive correlation. 0 means no correlation. Here this scenario we can see that. Here this is +1. First one is correlation is +1. +1, not surely +1, above 0 and between 0 and +1. Okay. The second case between 0 and -1. And in the third case, that is 0. 0 or somewhat near 0. So we can interpret the result of correlation in such a way that if the value is nearer to -1, then we can say that there is a strong positive negative correlation between the two variables, and the result is nearer to 1 or somewhat there, then we can say that the maximum positive correlation is there. And r is equal to 0, then we can near 0 or near value of 0, we can say that there is no correlation between two variables. So the limitations of correlation are sensitive to extreme values. Suppose two variables are there. So one variable, in one variable some extreme values is there, then it will affect the correlation analysis, and relationship, not a prediction. This is actually correlation analysis tells us that there is a relationship. If there is a relationship between two variables, whether it is positive relationship or no negative relationship, or it says that there is no relationship between the two variables. But we can't use this analysis for prediction. So next our process is to predict something. So first we have two variables, we analyzed using correlation, and we got a positive relationship or negative relationship. Then for next we can approach regression analysis, because regression analysis is mainly meant for prediction. So we can predict the future values of future or mid values of the series of y value with the help of x values. Regression, the prediction of one variable from the knowledge of one or more other variables. That is the regression analysis, because we have two variables or two or more variables. We have one y value, the y variable is there, x variable is there. So if they have some correlation between these two variables, that is positive or negative, whatever maybe, some correlation should be there. So is there, then we can go for regression for further prediction or prediction to the future values. So we can predict one variable with the help of one or more related associated variables. The main thing is associated variables. So there is x and y variable is there, and there is no correlation. Correlation we got 0.01 or 0.05, like that, 0.2, like correlation we got. That indicates that there is poor relationship between these two variables. So such variable, if you put such a variable in regression, that will give a wrong prediction answer, because in regression that will lead to a higher level of error. Higher level of error, that indicates less quality in prediction. So regression versus correlation. Regression allows you to predict one variable from the other, not just say there is if there is an association. Actually, correlation says that there is an association, and regression, further regression analysis, what we'll do, we can predict the variables with the help of another variable. And linear regression aim to fit a straight line. In regression, what we will do, we are fitting a straight line, and that gives the best prediction of y for any value of x. Actually, linear regression aims to fit a straight line that gives the best prediction of y for any x value. So we are fitting a straight line. straight line, how we are fitting a straight line? We have to fit the straight line considering that that is a minimization process. It's a minimization process. We have to minimize the error terms. Minimize the error terms, then only the best fit will come. Then only the best fit will come. So that we will discuss in the next slide. So best fit line. This is the regression line that is called best fit line, minimizing the sum of squared errors. What we are doing? Here we have to minimize the sum of squares of errors. So the general equation is y cap is equal to a plus bx. Y cap means predicted value of y. Predicted value of y is equal to a plus bx. A is a constant and b is the slope of the line. The slope of the line, and x is the another variable. X and y are two variables. That is correlated variable, two correlated variable. Here we are fitting y cap is equal to a plus bx. Y is the predicted value of y. Y cap is the predicted value of y, and b is the slope of the regression line. And the slope of the regression line, a is the intercept. Okay, a is the intercept. You can say that constant also. So intercept, that means the y axis where it intercept, that's still okay. And x is the another variable, the related variables. So here in this graph, we can say that the line, red line is equal to y cap is equal to bx plus a, otherwise a plus bx, both are same. So here the green dots are actual points, observed points. We have x value and y value. On the basis of that, we plotted the green values, green dots. Okay. On the basis of that green values, considering our green values, we fitted a line by minimizing the sum of squares, squared errors. The red line we fitted. So here we can see that this green line is here. Here this green line is green dot is here. Corresponding to this green dot, there is a brown dot on the line. The brown dot on the line indicates that the green instead of the green dot, we predicted that green dot on the line is a brown dot. Okay. So brown dot, the distance between the green dot and the brown dot on the line is the residual or error. We can say that is the prediction error. So we have to minimize the sum of squares of this error. Then only we will get a best fit. So residual error, the difference between obtained and predicted value. Okay, our actual value and predicted value, the difference between actual value and predicted value is the residual error. That means mathematically we can say that y minus y cap. So the green line is y and the brown line, brown dot on the brown dot on the line is y cap. Okay, so we this is the error. So we have to minimize the error. The best fit line values of a and b is the one that minimizes the sum of squared error. Okay. Actually mathematically we can say that sigma y minus y cap the whole square. We have to minimize that. If we minimize that, the line will be best fit. How actually we are nowadays a computer, a lot of softwares are available. Any kind of data, if you put inside the computer, that will give an output. Some cases, string cases, that will give an error. If it is fed in that, is this kind of activity is not allowed. Otherwise, that will give an error. In the case statistics, in the case of statistics, we have to be careful that what data we are inserting and what we are expecting from the computer. So if we are inserting two variable and instructing the computer to do the regression analysis, that will do and give it. So we have to ensure that ensure first that first to do the correlation and check if there is any relationship between x and y variable. If there is any relationship, then only we will go for regression analysis. After doing regression analysis, here is also some statistics we can check whether the fitted model is good enough to explain. So we can calculate the regression line for any data, but how well does it fit the data? The total variance is there. We have total variance is equal to predicted variance plus error variance. That means the total variance is there. The total variance is the sum of predicted variance and the error variance. So mathematically we can say that variance of y is equal to variance of y cap plus variance of error. Also, it can be shown that r square is the proportion of the variance in y that is explained by our regression model. Actually, r square is equal to the predicted variance divided by the total variance. That is r square. Instead of insert r square sy into the above formula, we will get the error variance. Error variance is equal to the total variance into 1 minus r square. From this, we can see that the greater the correlation, the smaller the error variance. So we have to ensure that the variable used in regression analysis should have good correlation. Then so we can minimize the error, and we can fit a good regression model. So the better our predictions. So the model is not good, not fit well. The prediction value may not be good, and the predicted variable may vary far away from the actual variable. So the result interpretation, in this slide is showing that the results of regression equation. First part of the result is model summary. Model summary is there. That is model summary gives the r value, that is a simple correlation, and r square value, that is a percentage of variation explained by the regression model, and adjusted r square and the standard error of estimates. Here from this table we have to observe two items. First is r value, that is simple correlation, is 0.8, that is reasonably highly correlation between the two variables, that is x and y. And r square variable is there, r square value is there. That gives how much the total variation in the dependent variable can be explained by the independent variable. In the case, actually what r square says, r square, there is dependent and independent variable, is a common terminology. Actually we said that y is equal to a plus bx. There is two variables. Y is the dependent variable and x is the independent variable. So r square value says that how much of the total variation in dependent variable can be explained by the independent variable, that is x variable. In this model is 0.67. We can convert it into percentage terms, that is 67.1. Actually it says that the model or the regression model explains around 67% of the variation in the dependent variable explained by the independent variable x. Next is an ANOVA test, is a part of regression model. So ANOVA test, we are employed for the fitness significance of this test, the significance of the regression fitted model. So this table indicates that the regression model predicts the dependent variable significantly well or not. So the significant value is less than 0.05. We can conclude that the model dependent variable significant the model predicts the significant variable significantly well. So we can go ahead with the model. First of all, we have to check the percentage of variation explained using R-square value. Second, we have to check the ANOVA results, significance of ANOVA. If it is less than 0.05, we can go ahead with that. And last result, part of the list of results is coefficients. The model coefficient is there, and under the model constant is there. Then the x value is there. Actually, that is a variable there. Minimum main memory in kilobyte. Actually, this example we will do in Excel also. So minimum main memory in the kilobyte. Actually, this is a computer the analysis for a computer hardware. So we will discuss this in the practical session of using Excel. So here we can say that coefficient. Under the coefficient, there is two categories there: unstandardized coefficients and coefficient and standardized coefficient. Okay, we are right now we are using the unstandardized coefficients only. That is beta below beta constant is 5.579. That is in our equation. We can see that y is equal to a plus bx. That a is we can say that a is 5.579, and bx in the bs component b is equal to 0.033. That is and the slope of the regression line. This thing. And last column, we have to check the last column, t value and its significance. Actually, t value, what here t value checks the slope reflected by reflected in the beta coefficient is actually slope or not. So here the against the variable the minimum main memory in kilobytes, the significance level is 0.000, that is less than 0.005. So we can go ahead with this variable. So there is that indicates there is a slope in the really a slope in the slope shown by the estimated by in the model is really there. So this is the regression analysis, and this is a bivariate regression analysis. We can do multiple regression analysis also. Multiple regression analysis also. Actually, in multiple regression analysis, the entire process is same, but in the bivariate there was two variables, one dependent variable and one independent variable. But in multivariate multiple regression analysis, there is more than one independent variables. One dependent variable is there, y is there. Y we are predicting y with the help of more than one dependent variable, independent variable. That is x1, x2, x3 are the independent variable. So accordingly, we will get a slope of x1, slope of x2, slope of xn, like that. So b1 is the slope of x1, b2 is the slope of x2, like that. Bn is the slope of xn. So the parameters reflects the independent contribution of each independent variable x to the value of the dependent variable y. That is the amount of variance in y that is accounted for by each x variable. All the other x variables have been accounted for. So actually, what multiple regression says that if one variable, actually x1, for example x1 increases by 1%, that will reflect y1 by b1 times. That is the thing, keeping all other independent variable constants. So we can insert the suitable values of x1, x2, x3 or xn. We can predict the value of y, corresponding value of y. These are all about t-test, ANOVA, correlation and regression analysis. So